TGI Sports Talk. It's a beautiful, beautiful Sunday morning here if you like gloomy, windy, cold weather. So hopefully some of you will be inside watching TGI Sports Talk today. I'm joined by my favorite elf. Won't stay here long, but I wanted to make sure you guys remembered it was the Christmas season. Get in the mood. Enjoy these few weeks that we have to kind of maybe, hopefully, be distracted from all the things going on in the world. I hope I provide a little bit of that for you every Sunday morning and every Friday morning. And again, I want to thank. I'll start by thanking the groups, the many groups that let me share this show with them. Again, if this is being shared in your group, it's going to have relevant content, whether it's at the beginning or the middle or the end of the show. We'll be covering college football and professional football today. As we go forward, there'll be more of the NBA, college basketball, blah, blah, blah. I want to thank all of you that show up every day. I've got my loyal viewers. Again, a lot of you pop in and out. We probably have, 30, 40, sometimes 50 people pop in and out of the room. Not everybody comments. Feel free to comment if you come in. Say hi. Pipe up on some of the things that we're talking about. We jump around. It's a free flowing conversation here. I try to keep it in some kind of semblance of order, but we jump around a lot because of the delay and the comments that come in. You can feel free to call if you'd like. The number to call would be 518-308-8225. Be glad to chat with you. I had a little controversial vlog I did this week about Tom Brady, Bruce Arians, and the Bucs, which we'll talk more about. We're going to talk about the college football Saturday here, the playoff picture in the college football, a little bit of the Heisman. We'll cover the top 25 games from yesterday, and then we'll look at the professional storylines and a few things that have gotten me a little excitable, and do our picks. The picks last week, and I'll cover them again later. Nobody set the world on fire. TGI Sports Talk comes back with its first win in quite a while with a resounding 8-7-1 record against the spread. My brother-in-law Drew was second at 7-8-1. Sorry about that, guys. After that, I choked on Rick and Billy's scores of 5-10-1. They were tied, and I apologize for any sarcastic comments because Keith has had 2 weeks, I think, with 3 wins, so he will not make too many comments here about that. So hopefully Rick and Billy and maybe Drew or somebody else will be here to join us or pick with us later today. If you want to do that, feel free to send a little note in the comments here. Again, if you feel like calling in, please do so. We're going to start. Hang on. We're going to start by removing little Elfie here. This will be a little distracting all day probably, but say goodbye to Elfie. I got a Yankee one just like him, by the way. Okay, welcome back. As I said, a little gloomy day here in Northeast. I hope where you are, it's warmer and nicer and more enjoyable. Yesterday's college action. I'm going to go through the scoreboard quickly first. There's 3 or 4 surprises. I'm going to talk about some storylines as we go through the scores and then maybe a couple of others. Some of this will bleed into the NFL because as the weeks go on, I want to talk more about the top prospects and top quarterback prospects specifically, as it will affect my team, I think, greatly. By the way, you're getting the wonderful, fashionable, free SI Patriot win shirt again this week because we won last week against the Cardinals, and Keith is a tremendously superstitious person when it comes to these things. So Anyway, let's start with the scoreboard a little bit yesterday. We got 2 games that haven't been played yet, by the way. One is out of the top 25, so I won't even talk about it. I'm going to try again and stick to the top 25 here a little bit. Those are the games that are really relevant. If there's any games anybody else wants to chime in on, you can certainly feel free to do so. If I don't talk about your team, make sure you put most in the comments, and I'll make sure in the future that we do so if you're not watching this live and you watch it later. So Washington State, that game I think is, I don't have the time. 7:30 tonight. So might be a game to watch up against the NFL, but I'm interested to see what USC looks like. Again, I don't think the Pac-12 has any chance of getting a team in the into the playoff just because of the lack of games. I mean, Arizona State, for instance, played their second game. They haven't played in a month. They played yesterday against UCLA. Had a couple shillings on UCLA. The other scores for the top 25, we'll go down them quick, talk about some storylines from those games, and then I'll touch on a few other things before we move on to the NFL. Number 1, Alabama, as expected, rolled over LSU. Obviously, they had some revenge on their minds from last year's win for LSU at Alabama. First time in 9 years, 8-9 years, I think they'd beaten them, and obviously there's a great celebration on the field, and I'm guessing Alabama didn't take too kindly to it, but they're the best team in the nation. You know, man, when it comes to, they're allowing like 18 points a game. Where I've railed about the defense in college football all year, and part of that could be because of teams not being able to practice, schedules being disrupted because of COVID, and maybe my criticism of defenses has been too harsh, but it doesn't apply to Alabama. Alabama's, I think, averaging less than 18 or close to 18 points given up per game. So they just rolled over LSU yesterday. Mac Jones with another big game, 4 touchdowns. He's moving his name up in the Heisman race. I think that's still Trevor Lawrence is to lose even with his missed time, but we'll see. Notre Dame predictably beats a horrendous Syracuse team. Notre Dame, I don't care, and I'll talk a little more about Ian Book in a second, but I don't care if you love Notre Dame or hate Notre Dame. I will tell you, and I'm ambivalent with Notre Dame. Again, they're one of the teams, we talk about this all the time about sports, that all sports are better with certain teams are good. College football's better when Notre Dame's good. It's just a fact. It's better when Alabama's good. There's other schools too. But I'm focusing on those 2 right now. And Notre Dame specifically, and Ian Book specifically. For Ian Book, from where he was when he started last year, it's come night and day. It's not just his statistics; it's his leadership on the field. And Ian Book was not. I still don't know that Ian Book's going to be a first-round draft pick. He probably won't be, and I hope he isn't, because I'm hoping that my team, that you can see emblazoned on my chest here, will be in a position maybe to pick Ian Book and not have to use a first-round draft pick on him. We'll see where this all washes out. I love the kid. I like his game. I like his vision of the field. I like his leadership. I like the way he doesn't get flustered. I go back to the Clemson game, 3 or 4 weeks ago now. And he played some great football. You can talk all you want about Trevor Lawrence not playing. That didn't affect the offensive side of the football that much for Notre Dame. Obviously it affects the game and the flow of the game and the score of the game and blah, blah, blah. But he played great. He led them on some big, big drives. He came up big time after time. And he's done that most of the year, not making big mistakes. Yesterday he throws for 285 yards and 3 touchdowns. Likely ran for a bunch of yards. I saw him run for 1 touchdown, had to be 30 yards at least. So Ian Book is somebody who has enhanced not only his, again, he's not going to win the Heisman. Maybe he'll be a finalist and invited to the virtual ceremony. I'm not sure how the finalists will be invited, since it will not be an actual event taking place in person this year. but we'll see. Very happy to see him booked and well, and I just got a feeling this kid is going to make it at the next level. Clemson wraps up the ACC spot in the ACC title game against the aforementioned Notre Dame Fighting Irish by the virtue of beating Virginia Tech yesterday, and the fact that Notre Dame and Clemson are not going to be trying to make up their games, two makeup games that would have been played next week. They're not going to be played. So they both have finalized their spot in the, I think, December 19th ACC championship game. And it's going to determine, it's possible that Clemson can't get in the playoff without beating Notre Dame. Notre Dame could still get in if they lose to Clemson and don't lose badly. So it's going to be an interesting matchup and very important to the playoff picture. And we'll continue to talk about it as we go forward because most of these games have some playoff implications. Moving on to Oklahoma. Oklahoma. I'm having a bad morning again. Prevagen. Somebody comment on Prevagen and let me know if it will help someone like me in their 60s who's just can't get it together some days. Ohio State against Michigan State. Ohio State rolls 52-12. Josh Fields, not big numbers for Josh Fields. Couple of touchdowns. The defense scored a bunch of. The defense played really well here. Obviously, Michigan State's not that good. But interestingly enough, I think the story here is really next week's game with Ohio State and Michigan. And Michigan's. There was some controversy earlier this week with Kirk Herbstreit from ESPN, a former Ohio State quarterback, making some comments about Michigan and Michigan potentially manipulating some COVID information, which, guys, this is a serious situation and we shouldn't be manipulating things for the purpose of football games. But to avoid a beatdown and maybe even stick it to Ohio State, because the Big Ten has this rule, apparently, that if you don't play 6 games, you can't play in the conference championship game. And without being able to play in that conference championship game, I don't think there's any way the committee can take Ohio State and put them in that 14 playoff. Now, there is also talk, and I'm not surprised about this either. The Big Ten has been meeting the last several days talking about amending that rule. Apparently, so that Notre Dame. How's my sound today? I turned down my microphone the other day when I had some reverb with it when I was on the Mac and Jack show, and I did not adjust it. So hopefully it's been okay. Anyway, I think that game's going to happen. If it doesn't happen, I do believe Ohio State will get a chance to play in that championship game. We're going to cover those conference championship game matchups, the ones that are set in stone and the ones that are still open a little bit here shortly, and we'll talk about them as we go along. But Ohio State probably will be in that playoff. Sitting on the outside is Texas A&M. I mean, the Texas A&M has had a lot of doubters this year. I mean, they played a bad LSU defense last week and could not really score any points. They played well enough to win the game, obviously. They've won 7 in a row after losing their opener. They beat Auburn on the road, which is a better team than LSU for sure. Their offense looked much better. They ran for over 300 yards yesterday. Kellen Mond threw for 2 touchdowns. Isaiah Spiller ran for 120, caught a bunch of passes. And their defense played very well again. Auburn gave them a battle, as I kind of thought they would. They're a proud team, but they're just kind of rebuilding this year. They lost a lot on both sides of the lines. So watch out for Auburn next year. Bo Nix with another year under his belt, maybe some better offensive line protection, and a better defense. They'll probably do better for sure. Sorry, guys, I'm a little clumped here this morning. Moving on to Florida. Florida beats Tennessee 31-19, even though they let Tennessee get a backdoor cover at the end. Oh, frustrating. I have lost so many games the last 3 weeks on these backdoor covers. Did go 2 for 3 yesterday. Had UCLA, Florida lost, and I did win on somebody. We'll come across it. It'll come to my mind here as we go through probably. Florida actually, is going to be playing in that SEC championship game. They are still 5th in the playoff rankings. They need to win that game. And, who knows? Again, they win that game. They're not keeping Alabama out of the championship playoff. They're just not going to do it. So now you're going to have 2 SEC teams in, which means either Notre Dame or Clemson or Ohio State is ending outside looking in. I guess there's an outside chance we end up with 2 first place and 2 second place teams from the same conferences playing each other if the cards fall right here. Say Clemson wins a close game against Notre Dame, Florida wins a close game against Alabama. I'll be honest with you. I don't know that a 9-1 Florida team or 10-1. I think they might have another game left. They play LSU, I think, next week. So they'd be 10-1 if they win that conference championship game, and they would have beat Alabama. I can see that scenario where you got 2 teams from each of those conferences, the top 2 teams. I mean, that's okay. Again, it should have expanded it, especially this year. I want to see 8 teams in this playoff anyway. Again, the group of 5 teams have 0 shot when the first and second place teams in these conferences are, the second place teams in these conferences can get in, and they got no shot. I really think they need to expand it to 8 teams, and we'll talk about that a little bit, maybe a little later in going forward. Iowa State wraps up a spot in the Big 12 championship game. They rolled over West Virginia, and they're not a bad West Virginia team, 42-6. Matt Campbell's done a great job there at Iowa State. He'll be in the mix for some of these bigger jobs as they come open. If Michigan comes open, he's going to be in the mix there. He could even be in the mix for some NFL jobs. So Matt Campbell's doing a wonderful job. He's already interviewed a couple times, I think, for last year for some NFL gigs. The team I root for, the Miami Hurricanes, win big, 48-0. Their hopes of getting to the ACC championship game was dashed when Virginia Tech could not pull the upset against Clemson, and with those 2 games being canceled next week for Notre Dame and for Clemson, Miami still will play. I think they might play North Carolina next week. We'll talk about that later. Miami's still in play for a New Year's Day bowl game, I would say. And a big payday. They've got a really good team. It's just Notre Dame playing this ACC schedule this year hurt the Hurricanes, unfortunately. But they may have laid the foundation for the future. I mean, a lot of their success has been on De'Aaron King, who was just fabulous again yesterday. But he'll be gone. But the rest of the team will be back. A lot of the rest of the team will be back. And I think they've laid the groundwork for some success going forward. Of course, Duke's a bad team. Oklahoma does clinch a spot in the Big 12 championship game against Iowa State with a 27-14 win over Baylor yesterday. Pretty much just a workmanlike win for Oklahoma here, I would say. Another big game yesterday, Indiana, who only has lost to Ohio State. If Ohio State doesn't get in that championship game because they lose to Michigan, which will not happen, or they enforce the must-play 6 league games rule, Indiana would play in the championship game. Indiana still probably got no shot at getting to the playoff now after that loss, but they accounted themselves very nicely against Ohio State. And they upset Wisconsin, who's been a very big disappointment, I think, this year. Had some postponements or cancellations, I should say, with COVID. They were ranked really high. They're still in 16th. But a good win on the road for Indiana yesterday after losing their starting quarterback for the year. just a nice victory for Indiana on the road. Their defense is really, really good in it, and Hall is a great coach. This guy's going to be potentially, unless he likes Indiana a lot, he's going to be getting a big job here soon too. A very interesting story with the BYU Coastal Carolina game yesterday. This game, both teams, well, Coastal Carolina ended up with a postponement / cancellation against Liberty due to COVID situations with Liberty. Had no game this week. The two teams started talking early in the week, and this game did not get scheduled. BYU started talking to Coastal Carolina. This game didn't even get scheduled until Thursday. I give the schools credit. These are two outside the power conference schools, both undefeated. I give them credit for putting this game together. And it was win-win for either. Well, maybe BYU, it was they had more to lose. Coastal Carolina's got nothing to lose, having BYU come to them. And it was an interesting game. Coastal Carolina won the game 22-17. Zach Wilson, a Heisman candidate, and certainly one of the best pro prospects amongst the quarterbacks, had a pretty pedestrian day for him, only 19 of 30 for 240 yards and a touchdown. Coastal Carolina played great. They play this, it's really a triple option when you look at it, harkening back to the days of Oklahoma and Nebraska back in the 70s. But there's more passing involved in it. But it's basically the same offense. You know, every time they've got an option to run the football, hand it off, quarterback can run, they can pass. Now, a lot of teams run this RPO, right? But Coastal Carolina has really put a different spin on it, I think, and they've been very successful. And this game, there were two guys. See if I can find them in my notes here. Two twin brothers, obviously. Twin brothers at Coastal Carolina. I want to give them their due here. I can't read what I wrote down. I think Taylor, I'm going to butcher his name, Taylor Denby, goes to Coastal Carolina, but he came up with these T-shirts, Mormons versus mullets yesterday, and they probably made themselves a nice fortune. And it really reminded me, if you go back to the 80s, some kids on the Notre Dame, the Notre Dame campus came up with the idea when Miami and Notre Dame had this huge rivalry in the 80s, and they were always, at the top of the rankings. They came up with the T-shirts, Catholics versus convicts, and those kids made a bundle while they're going to school. And it kind of reminds me of that. And I guess these guys sold a ton of T-shirts yesterday, and they probably will. This should be an ongoing thing. Not maybe BYU and Coastal Carolina. I think the for these mid-majors, anybody playing in conferences outside of the Power Five, they need to do something along the line and leave some weeks open, right? So you can be flexible in the schedule. Or maybe a week open where you can schedule these, he's a thug, whatever. It's still a great story. I don't care. One guy is a thug. I don't disagree with you, Rick, but the story is what matters here to me. But anyway, good morning, Rick. Good morning, Bob Engel, my dad. Hope you guys are having a great Sunday. Again, it's still a great story. I lost my train of thought now. The NCAA needs to do something along these lines, like basketball. They do with college basketball. They've got bracket buster weekends, right, where some of these teams that are on the bubble or jockeying for position for March Madness and the NCAA tournament. The NCAA should do something like this in football. Leave a week open where they can match up some of these mid-majors, like Cincinnati. We talk about week in and week out here. BYU, they did it this year on the fly with Coastal Carolina. Liberty, I'm thinking of some of these other schools. All these schools in the AAC, I keep promoting the American Athletic Conference week after week. It's a great league with some great teams. And I think they should find a way to do more of this. But again, along with it, they should probably expand from 4 teams to 8 teams. And it would make things like this really interesting. You'd put these matchups together on the fly. It doesn't just have to be the mid-majors either. You can involve some of the power conference teams that are, maybe not going to win their conferences, but maybe can enhance their standing by beating one of these. But it would give the mid-majors, number one, a chance to play against better competition where they don't get those non-conference games the way, Alabama does, Notre Dame does. Well, Notre Dame normally has all non-conference games other than this year, but you know what I'm talking about. So I think it's really something that the NCAA should consider going forward. Great idea. Great job by the schools putting this game together. Yes, Coastal Carolina didn't comport themselves as well as they should have during parts of that game. I'm really talking more about the game itself being put together and than the actual participation itself. It was a fun concept, the Mormons versus the Mullets. So anyway, moving on. Oklahoma State gets beat by TCU. Oklahoma State started out the year on fire, 6-0, and they have struggled since. Their defense has been exposed a little bit. That's what was carrying them early in the year. They don't have the offense that they normally have, and they really dropped down the rankings here, and they'll be playing a low-level bowl game. North Carolina continues their Jekyll and Hyde season. They win 49-9 over Western Carolina, who doesn't have a win. They've only played 3 games. Played them at home. Again, they got a big game, I think, against Miami next week. We'll have some bowl implications, if not championship implications. Iowa rolls over Illinois. Rice beats an undefeated Marshall. One of those really good mid-major teams that I've talked about all year. And a very big surprise. Rice had only played 3 games all year, only won 1. Lost badly in 2 of them. But they beat an undefeated Marshall team ranked in the top 25, 20-0. Stanford surprises Washington. Again, the Pac-12 is done and toast as far as the playoff goes. Somebody had to really run the table and be really impressive. They've got 2 undefeated teams left, I believe, in the conference. Oregon isn't one of them. Oregon's not got 2 losses. They were their best shot, and they're out of it. But they do have 2 undefeated teams left, Colorado and USC, who play next week. And USC's playing today against Washington State. I just don't see. I mean, USC would have to be really, really good the rest of the way out to have any consideration, and I don't see it happen. And Colorado hasn't even cracked the top 25 yet. So, who else? The aforementioned Oregon Ducks lose. I'm saying it right now, Oregon. I had an interview with, I'll go off goes my stream of consciousness again. I had an interview earlier this year with former umpire, Major League Baseball umpire Dale Scott, who lives in the state of Oregon, and he's a big Oregon Ducks fan, and I feel for him. But he made sure I pronounced it correctly. Just like one of my earlier guests, Mark Littell, said, I said Missouri right. It's not Missouri, it's Missouri. So anyway, I learned some pronunciation lessons this year. Lastly, in the top 25, Tulsa, one of those really good teams, are going to be playing in the AAC championship game against Cincinnati. Big game, big playoff implications. Cincinnati's still lurking outside that playoff bubble, but I don't see any way they can do it. I look at the mathematics of it and the teams who are playing each other yet in the championship games of these conferences, and I'm not sure there's a really path to the Final Four for Cincinnati. But it's going to be a fun game anyway. That's a good league, guys. I say it week in and week out. If you're not paying attention to the AAC, you need to do it. And I'll say it, American Athletic Conference. I'm not saying ACC. I'm saying AAC. Anyway, they beat Navy. Who's had a tough year. I always root for the academies. Army's had a really good year, 9-1, playing an independent schedule. But Navy's had a tough year. Army's going to be favored in that game. It's a little one of the scheduling flukes of this whole COVID situation, with games being moved around and rescheduled because of postponements. is that Army Navy doesn't get the stage they normally have. And, those are not teams that are going to vie for national championships. But I think it's still an important football game through the course of the year. One of the most important games played all year in my mind. And they don't get their stage next week that they would normally have when it would be just them. They would play the week before the championship, the conference championships games as a rule. But they won't have that. There's going to be a fairly full slate of games next week. And postponed in the top 25, Vanderbilt, Georgia, Northwestern, Minnesota. Again, that's going to really hurt the Big Ten. Northwestern with a bad loss last week that took them out of any contention for a playoff. They were in contention, but fell out. I think there was 6 games in total postponed or canceled. I'm not sure how they're calling them postponed at this point. I'm not sure when these teams are going to make these games up. There is talk that, some of the leagues will even play more games, more league games, the week of the championship games, just so those teams get a chance to play. So we'll see how that hashes out. That'll be good for the gamblers, I guess. There'll be more games to select from. But the 6 games in total, I think. I don't know. It seems like there had to be more than that. I mean, again, Liberty and Coastal Carolina wasn't even mentioned on that list because Coastal Carolina had rescheduled. So we may not even have had all the reporting of the postponed or canceled games just because they may have been canceled earlier. Not sure. But in any event, COVID's still playing a significant part in the way the season plays out. Ohio State played without 23 players yesterday, without their head coach, without 3 or 4 other coaches. Didn't matter because they were playing Michigan State, but again, it affects everybody. What else we got here? So I talked about a lot of the things I want to chat about as we went through the scores. Next week, by the way, there's some big games. So as I said, we got Florida's got to beat LSU. Probably should. Horrible game. Horrible team. LSU this year. It's a shame. You rarely see a defending championship go up in flames the way LSU has. You got Michigan and Ohio State, usually one of the biggest games on the calendar. Ohio State will obliterate Michigan unless Michigan backs out of the game, which there are rumors that they will do. You got Cincinnati, Tulsa, which will be the AAC championship game. You got North Carolina, Miami. No championship repercussions, but probably New Year's Day bowl game on the line there, potentially. And other than that, I mean, there's a lot of games, but those are the big games of the week. Next week, a couple of side notes this week. Texas Tech kind of did the impossible and lost to a horrendous Kansas team. Kansas, I don't think, had been within, 20 points of winning a game all year. Texas Tech found a way to lose to them yesterday. I talked about Rice beating Marshall. Only 9 unbeatens. Well, actually 9 unbeatens at this point of the season, partly because of the short schedule some of these unbeatens have played already. But with Marshall and BYU losing, you've only got Clemson, Notre Dame, Alabama, Coastal Carolina, all who have played full schedules. You got Buffalo, short schedule, Ohio State, short schedule, San Jose State, short schedule, Colorado and USC, all undefeated. Still. Don't know. I think I've covered pretty much everything. Yeah, we talked about all of that. Texas wins. Texas wins big finally yesterday after they fell out of top 25. They've had a slew of close games, too many of which they've lost. Tom Herman's in trouble there. Rumors about Urban Meyer coming into Texas are everywhere. Not sure. Urban retired twice because of health issues now, and by all accounts loves his job with Fox in the studio. But it would be quite an interesting story if Urban Meyer could go to a third school and restore the luster to those after doing it already at Florida and Ohio State, restoring the luster and winning national championships. If he could do it at Texas, they had a good run with under Mac Brown in the early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s. They had a pretty good run in the 60s with Darrell Royal. I'm trying to think of the coach's name, Darrell Royal, but they've been morebound for a while. Not morebound, but not a national year like you would think the state of Texas would be, or a team in the state of Texas should be. The university of that state of Texas would be. So interesting rumors there. I kind of think Herman will keep his job. The team's lost close games. I mean, the most damning thing for Herman is the fact that, there's rumors that he just doesn't connect with the players. And I mean, I think half his co-captains opted out this year. So that's probably the most damning thing for him. They lost some close games, yes. I would think if it were simply that, and even maybe with the opt-outs, he'll get a pass because of the COVID situation. I think some coaches are going to get a COVID pass, both in college and the NFL. So we'll see. Championship games are basically set. There's a couple up in the air. We talked about the AAC. We got Cincinnati against Tulsa. The ACC is locked in with Notre Dame and Clemson, and both of them with a chance to get in. Clemson can't get in without a win. Cincinnati, and to back up to that game, Cincinnati's got to win huge to have a chance. And again, their chances are, I'm not even sure how they would work out. Notre Dame would have to kill Clemson. Alabama would have to kill Florida. Could happen. A&M would have to lose. Then maybe Ohio State isn't considered. All those things happen. Or at least three of those things happen. Maybe Cincinnati gets a consideration. I hope so. Big 12, Oklahoma and Iowa State are locked in. Big 10 still up in the air, whether they're going to let Ohio State play. If they don't play next week against Michigan, if they can't play, Indiana would represent that side of the bracket, and it's still up in the air between I think Iowa and Northwestern on the other side of that bracket. The Southeast Conference is set. Florida and Bama. Again, huge implications there. Pac-12 is either going to be Colorado and USC, and the other side, the teams are just not very good. It's Washington or, I don't even know the other team that's in play there now. But still, it's not going to matter. Pac-12 has no chance to have a representative in the big Final Four. Can't happen. Sun Belt, Coastal Carolina, I mentioned it because they'll be in the final there, and then you've got some other small conferences that aren't really going to matter. The Heisman, still the same kind of. I think it still stands the way it did. I think Trevor Lawrence is still the front runner. Kyle Trask has made great inroads. I think Josh Fields has fallen back a little bit just because of not playing that many games. He had a rough game against Indiana. His draft stock could be taking a little hurt this year, too. He's a great athlete, but there's some moments of indecision when you watch him play that I'm sure the NFL scouts are picking up on and going to talk to him about when that time comes. But he'll still make a lot of money next year. So Trask, I think, may have passed Fields. I think Mac Jones might have passed Fields. And you've also got, obviously, Zach Wilson out at BYU. His chances hurt last week. A guy coming up on the outside, maybe, again, if we were having finalists invited in New York, we might start to talk about, and I talked about him earlier, is Ian Book. And I love the way Ian Book has raised his game. And again, it's not just the statistics. I don't care if you're a Notre Dame fan or not. Kenny Gifford, if you're here today, I know you're a huge fan. And I know there's a lot of anti-Notre Dame people out there. Don't care. I'm ambivalent either way. Ian Book has, and Kyle Trask probably, have raised their draft stock more than anybody, or as much as anybody heading into here. Trevor Lawrence is a lock at number one. Anybody thinks he's going back to school, just go back and watch his speech after his last home game last week, and they'll know he's not coming back. As far as the quarterbacks, again, ranked or the guys who have the best upside for the NFL, Trevor Lawrence is still the number one guy. Justin Fields, I think, may have hurt himself a little bit. Again, some of it not for his own, any of his own play, but just the fact that they haven't played enough games against quality opponents, and they haven't beat a team in the top 25. And he's looked indecisive at times. Zach Wilson probably hurt himself a little bit yesterday. Trey Lance at North Dakota State is a guy to watch. I mean, he has got some kind of juice, man. He just is so quick getting rid of the football. I watched a film on him yesterday because I hadn't seen much of him. Obviously, at North Dakota State, you're not going to see a lot of the guy, but, he's a big guy, 6'4", 227 pounds, and he can throw the football in. He can run with it. So he'll be a top four pick, but he'll be a first-round pick and in the top 4 or 5 quarterbacks to go. And then you got Kyle Trask, who's improved his lot. Mac Jones has improved his lot. Mac Jones, I don't think will be a first-round pick. I don't think Ian Book will be a first-round pick. And I hope Kyle Trask falls back because, again, I want this team to go the right way, to be able to get one of those guys and maybe not have to pick them in the first round. I like Trask and I like Book. I really do. Jamie Newman opted out this year at Georgia. Rick, maybe you can comment on that, but opting out will probably hurt his draft status a little bit, but he's still one of the top quarterbacks coming out next year. And then you've got some names that are just kind of all bundled together. And Book is probably in that bundled together, in all fairness. I've just watched watch him play and watch him grow so much over the last 2 years that I think he's really helped his standing. So that's pretty much my view of the college this week. I don't really have much else to add. I think that's it. We'll move on to pro football unless somebody's got anything else they want to chat about. You can put it up there, but we'll move on to the pros. Where are we? Last week's games, some surprises, some craziness with COVID. Rick is talking about we're going back to the Georgia quarterback. I've lost his name all of a sudden in my head. But he's talking about how does he well. Well, again, you're right. How well he does at the combine, that's going to matter for a lot of guys, right? Not just how they perform, but I think the interviews they do. That's what I mentioned too about Justin Fields. Newman, thank you. Before you say it, I got it. Prevagen. Anybody using Prevagen, man? I asked this earlier. I don't know how many guys were here. If there's new people in the room, does it work for a man in their 60s? Or is it just expensive urine? Excuse the graphic description. If anybody's got any opinions on Prevagen, I'll be happy to hear it. Or anything else that will clear my 60s fogged brain. All right, guys, back to the NFL. Again, just a wacky week. We started Thanksgiving with the Cowboys just getting annihilated by the team formerly known as the Redskins. Oh, God. Every week, the Cowboys. I had a discussion with Hank Gola Friday. If you didn't watch my interview with Hank Gola, we talked all about the NFL, a little bit about the Masters, but mostly about the NFL. And we're both dumbfounded by the Cowboys. He thinks they can get on a roll, but he likes the Redskins a lot. And the Redskins annihilated the Cowboys. It was just sad to see. I don't know what's going on. They need to get rid of Jerry Jones. Not get rid of Jerry Jones. He owns a team. You can't get rid of Jerry Jones. He needs to bring football people in there. We talked about that. We'll go through the standings quick here in a little bit. Raiders. I mean, is there a more Heckle and Heckle? All right, Heckle and Jekyll. Maybe we'll call it that instead of Jekyll and Hyde. Heckle and Jekyll team than the Raiders. 6-4. Control of their own destiny for a playoff spot, and they go to Atlanta, another Heckle and Jekyll team, and they get beat 45-6 or something. Oh gosh, terrible. The Titans, who had been struggling, right the ship and kill the Colts, who had beaten them a few weeks before that convincingly. Not a big fan of the Colts, guys. Not a big Phillip Rivers fan. If you've watched my shows every week, you know that. And a couple of times he's proven me wrong, but my team, big surprise, playing not well at all on offense, and a defense that has struggled recently, stepped up, controls Kyle Murray, and beats them on a last-second field goal by Nick Folk, probably their MVP. Kicker's the MVP. Says all you need to know. But the Patriots are teasing me again. They're kind of on. They've got a shot to run the table here. Next 3 weeks are going to be huge for them. I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but they've got 2 games in LA, one against the Chargers. They really should win this game. Anthony Lynn has got to be the second worst coach in the NFL. I'll leave you Jet fans to figure out who the worst coach in the NFL is. Billy must not be with us today or he's getting liquored up before he gets in the room. That's a mismatch. But the Patriots then are going to stay. They're not even coming home. They're going to stay in LA because they have the Rams next week. Then they got Miami on the road. 3 road games in a row. The NFL's done no favors here, that's for sure. All you people who think the Patriots, the NFL's for years had the Patriots back. Guys, I can cite you chapter and verse of how that is not true. Not true. This is another example of it. 3 straight road games in December. Anyway, they win 2 of 3 of those, 2 of 3, and they got the Bills and the Jets to finish the season. They got to beat the Bills anyway. So who knows? They might sneak into playoff contention here before it's over. I think they can they'll beat the Chargers today. If they don't, I'll be shocked. It's gonna be one of my bets for sure. When we get to that point. But anyway, enough about the Patriots. The Broncos debacle. No quarterback. They completed 1 pass for 9 yards. They played with no quarterback. They played a kid that was on their practice squad who was a wide receiver but was a quarterback at one point at Wake Forest. 1 pass he completed. The NFL, how does that game even get played? Now, you can tell me that the Broncos put themselves in that position, the quarterbacks didn't follow protocol, blah, blah, blah. The NFL is not consistent in what they do. They postponed the Baltimore game 4 times. It's supposed to be played on Thanksgiving night. Then it was going to be played Sunday. Then it was going to be played Monday. Then it was going to be played Tuesday, maybe 5 times. Then it got played Wednesday afternoon. They're not consistent. I mean, they've done a fairly good job until this is just a debacle. Well, Drew says he technically completed 3 passes, but 2 were the other team, so I don't think they count them statistically that way, Drew. If they did, by the way, I can think of guys like Jameis Winston who would be awesome quarterbacks. Oh, gosh. I like that input, though, Drew. Thank you. 49ers come from nowhere. We count them out. Injuries. Jimmy G out for the year. Kittle's out. Don't know if Bosa even played. Their injuries have been atrocious. Somehow they beat the Rams. I like the Rams a lot. And we talked about this with Hank Golub Friday as well. You know, McVay's a good coach. And when they keep Jared Goff in positions, where he can succeed, they play well, but when he's taken out of his comfort zone and forced to do too much, they're exposed. That's why I think the Patriots might have a chance next week. You saw the Patriots, again, it's a totally different team, but I won't go there. The Steelers beat the Bucks. I'm sorry, the Chiefs beat the Bucks. Getting ahead of myself a little bit. I talked about it in a vlog. I know Drew had some comments. There's Billy. Did you finish that bottle of wine, and you're getting here late, or what? Good morning, Billy. Good morning, Drew, by the way. I know Drew had some comments yesterday, and we can continue that discussion a little bit here this morning if you want. And if anybody wants to call to chat about it, we can do that as well. Let me put the number up. Nobody's called in quite a while. Any of you guys want to call in when we do the picks, or to my banner here? There we go. Let's put that up for a bit. The Steelers didn't beat the Bucks. That would have been a big surprise, right? Last week, the Chiefs beat the Bucks, and there's a lot of. I did a vlog this week, which I posted yesterday. You know, it's not working in Tampa Bay, and we can debate what it is. I think, and Drew can speak for your joke on you. Yes, Billy, wake up. The Steelers had to play again today. They've already played again since Wednesday. They played the Buccaneers. We weren't even on the schedule for them. So the NFL is really sticking it to the Steelers, which kind of is true, by the way. I'm no Steelers fan, but we'll talk about this in a second. I'm on the Bucks. And my vlog talked about Brady, Arians, and the Bucks and what's wrong. And in my mind, it's just a bad fit. It's not a good fit. Bruce Arians will not change his philosophy for the talent that he's got around him. He wants to throw the ball down the football field, the old Raiders style. And that's not Brady's game. And it's coming, and I guess my biggest problem is the way both camps now are pushing back at the others. Arians has spoken out. It started in week one, then it quieted down a little bit. He called Brady out a couple of times, specifically by name, about having him need play better, and he does. Brady hasn't played well, again, and I probably didn't do a good enough job in my vlog of positioning this. I'm not a Brady apologist. He is the greatest quarterback of all time, in my mind. It's, subjective though, right? It's hard to compare eras. But he's got six rings and nobody else does. Didn't play with a bunch of Hall of Fame talent at skill positions. Don't mention Randy Moss. They didn't win any championships with Randy Moss. So I'm not really a Brady apologist, but this is a bad fit. Billy's on his second cup of wine, I think, is what he's telling me. I'm not sure. Oh, coffee. The problem with the show going along, I mean, my original plan for the show was an hour, and we've pretty much gone to an hour and a half in 2 hours. My problem is I run out of coffee. I could text my wife to get me another one. We may have to do that. But this is my third cup. I've been at this since, I'm an early riser, guys, 5:30 in the morning. I am up and about. You can't put this kind of quality programming together in, just 5 minutes. Billy's mile high. I got to tell you, one of the most enjoyable things, and I wish, again, I mentioned earlier, I know there's people that view this show live, in and out. Nobody stays for the 2 hours, except maybe you guys. I love it that you guys stay. You're my loyal followers, but I love the banter you guys have with each other in the room too, by the way. It cracks me up, and that's why I kind of jump back and forth, because you make me laugh. Where was I? Tom Brady and Bruce Arians. Not a match made in heaven, guys. I talked about the fact that Arians' motto that he lives by is no risk it, no biscuit, and that's not Brady's game. And it's not the way Brady, and again, I'm not saying Brady shouldn't be able to adapt. He's 43 years old, though. Come on. The the coach has got to adapt more to the quarterback in this case, and Arians isn't doing it. Brady's strength has never been throwing the ball down the field. It's timing patterns. It's keeping the clock moving. It's momentum, and you don't see that. I see momentum killing play calls all the time. And now you got as I started to say, now you got the two guys pointing fingers at each other, not specifically, but they're camps. Arians calls out Brady. Brady's camp says that, they don't put him in a position to do what they're supposed to do, or putting him in a position to be successful, and then Arians comes back with, well, Tom gets to pick the plays during the week, and Tom can check off at the line. And he's made vague references to, we've given Tom everything that he wants. Right? He wanted Leonard Fournette. Let's see who's calling.
Call from
Bill.
To accept, press 1.
Billy's
to send a
on the
voicemail,
phone,
press
guys.
2.
Let's hope he's sober.
To accept, press 1.
Bill. Good morning, Bill.
Who is this?
Bill, are you sober?
Hey, Keith, how you doing?
Are you sober? Or
Of course I am.
Are you sure?
Listen.
We can't have drunken callers, just so you know.
I'm not going to go way back
wait,
there.
We're on the internet. We can do whatever we want.
watching.
We're on the internet. We can do whatever we want.
Oh, I'm not live?
Oh, you're live, yeah. But we're on the internet. We don't have any FCC rules.
Okay. Well, I just think, I'm not sure if this is the Bucks Patriots hour or if it's TGI Sports.
Oh.
Since I've turned it on, it's the Tom Brady Crying Club.
Well, you should have come in earlier,
and the
Bill.
Patriots reality. Is it? Well, I had something going on here.
Oh,
I had
that's
to
right.
tend to my errands.
That's right. You did come
I
in.
don't get up black.
And I did talk about the Patriots for a while. And again, it's my team, so I talk about them more than maybe others. I'd like to talk about the Jets.
Yeah, you do. Well, the Jets are playing possum. They're ready to strike out.
Well, I will switch
at
gears.
any moment.
I will switch gears. We'll talk about the Jets since you're on the phone, because here's the deal. I think it's awesome that Adam Gase Thursday admitted that he failed Sam Darnold for the last 2 years. He was brought in to mold him into an NFL quarterback, and he failed. Well, he came to that revelation about 2 years too late, and I got to believe he just fired himself if he wasn't already getting fired, even though there was rumors and I'm reading articles this week in the New York papers about Gase coming back. Only the Jets would consider bringing
He's coming back. Gase is coming back. The management knows that he didn't have all the tools to get the job done, and it's COVID. I mean, look at the Steelers. They shouldn't even be playing. And
what was his record?
They're pushed all around. They still got to play.
What was his record before COVID?
Well, he had a good record in Denver when he was offensive coordinator.
That's a very good point. Some guys,
and now that he's not calling the plays, he's doing better. The games are closer.
Some guys are just good coordinators, Bill. That's the thing. He's a good coordinator. That's probably where he's going to end up next year. He should. Matt Patricia just got fired. Matt Patricia's a great coordinator. He was a horrible head coach. The players hated him, and everybody's glad to see him go. But he'll get a great job as.
Listen, the Jets are like Halley's Comet. They come every 50 years, and I think they're a little overdue.
They are, because my math says that should have been last year.
Well,
that's right. It would be last year.
Yeah, it would, and that's why I'm saying they're overdue.
Well,
but you haven't got to worry about the Jets.
If the Jets ownership, and I got to read Drew's comment here if you aren't seeing it. Patricia loses his job midseason and Gay's still employed. Lobotomized ownership. I can't.
Oh,
disagree.
I see Drew's. Yeah,
I can't disagree. If they're keeping him next year and drafting, so follow me for a second.
Drew's getting personal now. Lobotomized
Well,
ownership.
he
Come
didn't say-
on,
He
Drew.
didn't, he didn't say you'd been lobotomized, Billy. Just the ownership.
Well, I'm going to have to listen, Drew. I'm going to have to start referring to you as Ellen, man.
Oh wow!
No, I wouldn't do that. You got a good bunch of guys.
That was getting nasty. So if they bring up, follow me for a second.
No.
So they're going to
You
keep.
sit around the internet.
You can't keep Gaze after he said he failed to develop Sam Darnold the way he should have. And the drafts, then they're going to draft Trevor Lawrence because regardless of what you think, Trevor Lawrence is coming out and the Jets are going to draft him. And you can't leave.
And now Rick says, put me on time delay? Come on. I thought these were my compadres.
They are. They're just having fun with you. You know,
I know.
You can't leave Gaze with the keys.
It's a lot of fun.
You can't leave Gaze with the keys to Trevor Lawrence. I mean, come on. He needs to go.
Listen, I've never picked 15 games per week in my whole life, and here I am every week trying to think if I can beat these two guys.
16 games, so there's part of your problem right there. Your math is as bad as mine.
What do you mean? People have buys.
Well, the buys are over. There was 16 games last week. You tied one. 5-10-1.
Well, I think I was. Well, as long as I don't get a 3-11, I'm going into the Hall of Fame.
Well,
having the
3-11
people are the ones that are paying admission to get into the Hall of Fame.
That's me.
And the other ones, I'm only kidding. Yeah. Listen, you did that on purpose. I know you set the bar low for all of us.
Yeah, because you
even thought, maybe the Jets could probably. I don't know. How can
the only
I'm
thing
picking the Jets anyway.
The only thing harder than picking winners is picking losers. It's the same thing. So I couldn't do it on purpose.
Well, this is true. That's why I can never understand why 50% of the NFL has a losing record. I don't understand it.
Well,
it's crazy.
It is crazy, and it's been a crazy year.
So listen, I'm going to wait until we get to the picks, but
we'll get there shortly.
Brady's over. Brady's over. I mean, he's got this dream that he's going down to Tampa and bask in the sun and throw the football, and then he's going to go to the Super Bowl. He cheated 2 or 3 times to get the Super Bowls he got. The Flakegate, Spygate.
Tom Brady was behind
the
Spygate.
Snow machine. The snow machine. Taking off the snow on the field so they can kick a field goal. He invented the tuck rule. I mean, you can take away 4 of them Super Bowls right there.
Bill, I got to check your coffee. I got to check your coffee. We got to do it. We have to do a sobriety test virtually here. I'm not sure how to do it.
I thought everybody put Fangelic in their coffee. I got that wrong?
Well, everybody likes something different. I like Zambuca in mine, but that's fine.
Oh, yeah, you were always a Zambuca guy from what I remember.
I gotta say, though, you can't blame Tom Brady for the snowplow game. It was in 1982. He wasn't even born. Well, he was born, but he was a baby.
Oh, now you're throwing it. Now you got to get them big boots on. 1982, he wasn't born.
Well, I don't do math very well either, but he was only a baby. 1982 is 40 years ago, Bill.
Do you know what the highest scoring football game there ever was?
For 2 teams?
Not
or one?
The college.
Oh, college.
The highest scoring college football game ever.
Oh, you're going to throw this at me again? Didn't you say this? Ask me.
I didn't even cut and paste this morning. Didn't cut. No.
Highest scoring game ever.
I'm going to give you the answer. It was 222-0. But here's the problem.
I'll bet you that was in 1920 something, right?
1926, I believe.
How about that?
Here's the problem.
That's close enough.
Not Theismann. Who's the Heisman? John Heisman. He got the Heisman Trophy named after him.
Yeah.
He was the damn coach.
Well, there you go.
He was the darn coach that did that. That's just not nice. They shouldn't have never done that.
They should rename the trophy the Joe Theismann Award, I think, anyway. Do you realize he changed the pronunciation? Sure. He changed the good grief. He changed how he pronounces. He changed how he pronounces his name back when he was at Notre Dame, so it would rhyme with Heisman. His name is Theismann.
Oh.
So he changed how you pronounce his name to Theismann. Well, the school asked
Well,
them to, so they could promote him.
See, now you're a little bit of trivia in your program. It goes a long ways.
Yeah.
That's what I've been trying to teach you here.
Well, you're doing a good job.
So, anyways, I know. Rick is drinking Sambuca.
Yeah, Rick's on the
Oh,
Buca.
Rick, come on! I love you too.
Daryl Bevel has
And
his
Daryl-
entire
okay.
play sheet on an index card.
Well, I think the three of us, Rick and Ellen and I, should come in there.
Ellen.
Wait, did I say Ellen?
Wow.
Oh, wait, it's Drew. I mean.
Well.
All right, I'll let you go and finish your show because I got. I'm going for. The only loser I got is the Jets.
I got to start a run here. I'm making a run in Drew's league. He's got a pick him. He should get you in next year. By the way, you and Rick. There's no spreads.
Oh,
there's no
Jesus.
spreads in that one. You just pick winners. And I won last year. I got off to a horn. I don't think there's enough weeks left yet, but we'll see.
Well, I got to tell you, I really think Washington's going to put the stink on the Steelers today. I like Alex Smith.
That game's not till Monday. By the way.
Quarterback. That's okay. Well, I'm just trying to predict the future for everybody so they can make a little money.
That's going to be my upset of the week, by the way, is the Redskins.
Oh, now you're jumping on my bandwagon. Okay. It's okay.
Well, it's a perfect spot for the Redskins to lose, or the Redskins to win, rather. Pittsburgh
and the Bills,
lose.
the Bills are going down because they usually do.
Well,
so I'll wait till you make your picks.
All right.
I thought you wanted somebody to call in.
I
didn't know I was going to get harassed.
I love it when somebody calls.
I didn't think I was going to get harassed. I thought, I'm watching the show, and I thought, geez, you'll probably treat me pretty nice.
Oh, I try to be nice, but this is me. I've only got so much niceness in me, Bill.
You do. You got a lot of nice in you, Keith. We go way back. Okay.
All right.
Nice talking to you.
I'll talk to you later.
All right. Okay, bye.
And Drew's not going to let me stop talking about the Patriots or the Bucks. So let me finish up the Bucks real quick here. I know Billy doesn't want to talk about the Bucks anymore, but we're going to finish it up since Drew. I don't want to just overlook Drew's comments here. So back to the Bucks. The Glazers screwed both Brady and Arians. I think Arians knew Brady wouldn't fit, and the Glazers foisted time upon him anyway. So now you have to decide which one to support more. I agree, Drew, and I think I talked about that in my vlog. I mean, they're going to have to make a decision now. Who they want? They're 7-5, and these last 4 weeks for them might be. Yeah, I'm going to get off it in a second. I promise, Bill. Whether they want Tom back, and if they do, how are they going to do it? Part of it is I don't see both of them coming back there next year. And if it's Brady, watch out. Don't sleep on Josh McDaniel being the head coach there next year if Tom Brady decides, or the Bucks decide. Well, they're going to have to pay him. They can pay him $25 million to walk away. I'm not a big Bruce Arians fan. Sorry. He thinks he's the smartest guy in the room, and he's got nothing to show for it. A couple playoff wins. That's all. Anyway, I'm off the Bucks. Gone. Done. Let's go to the Steelers. As Billy was talking about, the NFL has screwed the Steelers around. They've been screwed up by this, and the NFL has done what they've had to do with COVID. The whole Broncos situation was just stupid. They should not have played that game. And I've been trying to ignore your cheating Tom comments, Bill. But I'm going to. Now the Steelers have got to play a very short week. They played Wednesday afternoon. Now they got to turn around and play Monday. And, this is just not they lost their bye week. They had no bye week because of this. The only team in the NFL that didn't have a bye week, I believe. That's correct. So, again, that's one of the big stories from last week. They did find a way to beat the Ravens. There was a backdoor cover in that game, too. They're right and left. They're everywhere this year. By the way, they found out there was 4 different strains of COVID in the Ravens locker room, which is kind of scary when you think about it in general, and for our own general well-being. this thing is mutates and does whatever it wants. It's the weirdest virus probably we've ever seen. I mean, maybe the Spanish flu was, but we didn't have the technology that we have today to detect different types of strains, I guess. But this thing, it's scary when in that small an environment, relatively speaking, there's 4 different strains of one virus. The other big stories, what are the Dolphins doing at quarterback? There was some controversy a couple of weeks ago when they took Tua out of the game, put Fitzpatrick back in. At the time, it looked like, they did pull him, but he was hurt. He's coming back this week. And Phil, you're killing me. You chastise me for talking about the Bucs and the Patriots and Brady, and you keep on talking about them and make me go back. I'm going to do a whole show on Tom Brady one day, and you can come on, and we're going to debate the whole thing. Cam Newton is not doing more with less time. Cam Newton threw for 82 yards last week. They won the game because of the defense and the kicking game and the special teams. Cam Newton will not be back in New England next year. And as far as with Les, the only missing pieces that he didn't have is Edelman and Sony Michel, who I'm not a fan of. Anyway, back to the Dolphins. The rumors are that Tua's going to start today. Now he's it sounds like what I've heard for the last 20 years. I don't know what Miami should do. We don't have any Miami fans in the room today. Sean McGillen, who pretends to be a Patriot fan but is really a Dolphin fan, isn't with us, I don't think. If he is, he can speak up. The rumors are that Tua's going to start today. If he was pulled because of an injury, I get it. If he wasn't, then they're playing with fire. And I really like Brian Flores, as I've said on this show. I think he has done a great job, along with the rest of the management, of building that team towards respectability and more. They're at least a year ahead of where I thought they'd be. And the upside with Tua is better than the upside with Fitz. If they want to win playoff games, Tangola disagreed with me Friday. He thinks they have a better chance of winning a game or two in the playoffs with Fitzpatrick. I don't necessarily agree. That's kind of all I wanted to cover from last week. I mean, as far as a look around the league real quick, and then we'll get to the picks, because I know Billy can't wait to pick the Jets. All Patriot fans pretend. I don't know what that means, Bill. I'm probably the most reasonable Patriot fan you will meet. I've been a Patriot fan since 1970 when they were terrible. Drew agrees with Hank Gola, I guess, on Fitzpatrick. Not a big Fitz fan. He finds ways to have good games and gets himself decent contracts. And he's been a serviceable quarterback in the NFL for quite a while, but you're not going to win playoff games with Fitzpatrick. But you may not win with Tua either right now. I mean, again, they're winning with their defense. They're winning with special teams. They're winning. They're not relying on their quarterback right now. So, Sean pretends. Not all Patriot fans. I think you were with me and Mark at a Patriot game when they were 1-15 and we had season tickets. I think that's. I think the year we took you to your first game against the Giants, it might have been the 1-15 season. I'm almost positive. Oh God, it was awful. I talk a lot about the Patriots, man, but you know what? You know why I've been so cocky and enjoyed these last 20 years so much? Because the 30 years before that were mostly like the Jets. Just sad. Dysfunctional ownership, horrible head coaches. A few good years mixed in. Ray Barry was a good coach, went to a Super Bowl. Anyway. So Drew, again, if the Patriots want, or we're good back to the Dolphins. If the Dolphins want to get to the playoffs, maybe Fitzpatrick is the best answer right now. If Tua's banged up like Lamb. I mean, I was surprised that they put him in the in the position when they did after their bye week, because I thought their best bet was to sit him for the entire year and get healthy. Don't forget, he had a horrible injury last year. One that's not that easy to get over. I mean, one that ended pretty similar to the one that ended Bo Jackson's career. No greater athlete than Bo Jackson. Very similar injury. So I thought they'd be best letting him get healthy for a year. And he was hurt a lot during his Bama career. So that was one of the downsides of taking Tua. So anyway, we've talked about the Dolphins in the AFC East. We've talked about the Patriots. The Bills, Billy thinks are gonna fold up. They're playing very good football. Their defense is not playing good football. That division is probably there for the Bills to win. The Dolphins are still alive, and maybe that's why it'll end up with Fitzpatrick. But we'll see who plays today. The rumors I heard was Tua would start today, so we'll see. That was this morning. Things change a lot in the NFL from hour to hour, as we know, especially this year. The only thing I can be sure of is the Jets will not win. And if they bring back Adam Gase, man, they should fire themselves. That's a Jerry Jones move, man. Steelers, AFC North. The Steelers are 11-0. Can the Steelers go undefeated? I don't think so. As Billy said, he stole my thunder a little bit, but I see the Redskins with a really good chance of beating the Steelers. And if they don't, they're going to end up with an interesting dilemma, potentially, in Week 16, or their 16th game, Week 17, I guess, against the Browns. You go for the undefeated season, or do you play your starters? Because if they were to win all those games, they likely would have, let's see, they likely would have home field wrapped up. Kansas City's only a game behind them. Only lost one game in a conference. It's possible the game would mean something. So, Tomlin's passed. So maybe they're like fire bet. Oh, pissed. Tomlin's pissed. I agree. Tomlin's pissed. You know what? One of the most another conversation I had with Hank Cola Friday and some others is, in my opinion, Mike Tomlin's one of the most underrated coaches in the NFL. We had this conversation a couple weeks ago or a week ago. Again, the Steelers and coaches, 3 in 50 years, amazing. But the Steelers, again, could be their most vulnerable week until they get to Week 16, in my mind. We'll see. The Browns don't like Baker Mayfield, but they keeps winning. 8-3. They're going to make the playoffs. They've got some good running backs. So we'll see. The Ravens, I think, are the team that could implode and are imploding here, to be honest with you. They're only 4-5 in the conference, 6-5 overall. They're one of the teams that are coming back to the Patriots, okay? Remember, there's an extra playoff team this year. 7 teams get in. Patriots could sneak in at 9-7. Probably got to win out to get to 10-6, and it's going to be difficult, but we'll see. I keep coming back to the Patriots, but again, that's the risk you run here. I could change the name to Thank God It's Patriots Football. The South, the Titans, I still think are the class of that division. They've split 2 games with Tennessee now. Both teams winning convincingly. I'm just not a Colts fan. I'm not a Phillips Rivers fan. And I don't see them catching the Titans. The Titans now well coached. I cheat a little and I count Mike Vrabel in 10-6. Yes. I predict 9-7, but it's possible. We'll see. Next couple of weeks, Bill, if you missed it, very important. You must not have missed it because you came in on the Patriots. Back to the Titans. Mike Vrabel, I cheat a little, and I count. I'm a Patriot fan, so I have to cheat a little. Mike Vrabel, I count as part of Bill Belichick's coaching tree. He was a coach on the field. He wasn't technically a coach, but when he played for Belichick, he was a coach on the field. And he's done a great job in Tennessee. Derrick Henry's a monster. They're going to win that division. The Chiefs are already in, and the Raiders. The only question there is whether the Raiders are going to hang on and make the playoffs. And again, another team coming back to the Patriots. Patriots are now a game behind a playoff spot. One game. That's it. You got the Ravens. Let's see who we got in the AFC. Bills, Steelers, Titans, Chiefs, 4 division winners. Say the Browns and Dolphins are going to get the 5 and 6 spots. They're 8-3, 7-4. Let's just give them those spots for the moment. Reich's a good coach as well, and they have a good D despite your feelings on Rivers. I know. I do like Frank Reich as a coach, and you may see it'll be interesting after the season if the Eagles give up on Carson Wentz. The Colts would be a great landing spot for him because Frank Reich has a great history with Wentz as well. Anyway, so if I give the 5 and 6 spots to the Dolphins and the Browns, we end up with vying for the 7th spot and the last spot. Right now, you have 2 teams at 6 and 5. The Ravens. Oh, I got to give the Colts in there. Sorry, the Colts would have that 7th spot. So either the Dolphins or the Colts. I missed the Colts. Sorry, Drew's comment had me going back to them. So anyway, Patriots are 2 games behind. So right now the Ravens are out, the Raiders are out, and the Patriots are 2 games behind. And unfortunately, they will not play any of those teams. And their conference record sits at 4-4. And they're going. Colts are 3-4 in the conference. And I said the Ravens before are 4-5. So if the Patriots win out, and they probably have to win out, they could potentially get into playoffs. That's the AFC. The Jets, Bill, I think would have to win. If they won 1 game and they let them count it for the next 10 years, then they'd have 10 wins, and then they'd potentially be considered. We'd have to kind of reconfigure the entire playoff scenarios for that to happen. Yeah, I'm blaming you, Drew. All right, we'll move on to the NFC. Sorry, we're done with the AFC. Prevagen, guys, give me some comments. Or do I just need brain surgery? Or should I just, lock myself up in a room somewhere to stay the rest of my life? Anyway, no dominant teams in the NFC, unlike the AFC, where you've got the Chiefs and the Steelers, who obviously are better than these other teams that we've talked about, that will try to give them a run in the playoffs. You got the Packers. You got the Saints at 9-2, probably the best balanced team in the league, in the conference. And then you got you got some flawed teams that are very good. The Seahawks and the Packers are both 8-3. The Rams fall back to 7-4 last week with a bad loss to the 49ers. The Buccaneers lose and have not played well for 3 weeks, as we mentioned. They fall into 7-5. And somebody's got to win the NFC East. It's just a rule. Sad. To me, the Giants are probably playing the best football there. The Redskins have the best unit, probably, of the 4 teams on their defense right now. But somebody's got to win. Pick a winner. It doesn't matter. One team comes from there. You can have whoever you want. I'm going to say the Giants, as much as I hate to say it, will come out of there as the winner. Watch the Cowboys get on a roll. I'll pick against them every week from here on out. And they'll get on a roll and go 8-8 and win the division. Won't happen. I could be a Jets owner with this brain. Thank you, Drew. So I have something to aspire to. Being the owner of the Jets, I can be on the same level with an NFL owner. Who would have ever thought I'd have that opportunity? So anyway, I will pick the Giants in that division. So that gives us the Giants, the Packers. Packers are going to win the North. We know that. Sorry, Rick. I don't think they're going to overcome a 3-game deficit at this point. I think the Saints win the South, and I still think the Seahawks win the West, unless the Rams mount a big finish. So let's just say those are our 4 division winners. Then we've got Tampa Bay, the Rams, 5 and 6, and then you got the Cardinals at 6 and 5 are going to be the 7th seed. So that leaves Rick's Vikings very much alive for a wild card spot. Up and down, but they're still alive. The Bears still alive, but the Bears are going the wrong direction. Vikings are rising, Bears are falling. Nagy's in trouble. I might talk a little bit. We probably won't have time today. We'll talk next week about coaches in trouble. I mean, even the Falcons are alive at 4 and 7. You know, they're playing better football under Raheem Morris. So who knows? And the 49ers are lurking back there at 5 and 6. I'm not. Shanahan's got to get a credit. If he gets his team anywhere near the playoffs, he's got to get great credit for overcoming what they've overcome injury-wise. And I guess a lot of coaches should get a lot of credit today. I mean, again, Billy's right about one thing. I don't think it should save Adam Gaze's job. Sorry, but there's going to be a lot of coaches or some coaches that get a COVID-19 pass, and this has been uncharted waters for all of these coaches, all of these organizations, and most of them have done a very good job with it. Some not so well. A lot of teams now, by the way, before we go to the picks, a lot of the teams are now looking at bringing some guys in to be like their COVID emergency quarterback and getting them on the practice squad, because you can't bring a player in, the week of a game because of the COVID restrictions. He's got to have been with them 2 weeks, maybe 10 days. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but he can't come in, during the week. And that's what happened to the Broncos. They couldn't just bring in Colin Kaepernick, to throw out the worst name I could probably throw out, right? But I'll throw out his name. You can't just bring a Colin Kaepernick or somebody else in. He's got to be on the practice squad at a minimum. So that's why you end up with what the Broncos ended up with. And maybe they'll start doing more virtual meetings. I think they're going to start doing a lot of that. There were new restrictions put into place this week, and I don't have time to get into them all, but it's probably going to hurt the play on the field because of some of the restrictions that'll be put in during the week. And the teams won't be able to practice as much or maybe convene together as much, but it'll be safer for the players. So we'll see what happens. The vaccine squad, I like that. Kaepernick. Guys are rough. What else, guys? Anything else you want to cover? Throw it out there. So Billy disagrees with me on Gaze. Drew kind of disagrees with me on Bucks and Brady. We're not that far off the same page, though. I'm really not giving Tom a pass here. Don't get me wrong. If we watched the vlog, which you obviously did, Drew, I think Brady should have retired if he didn't want to play for the Patriots anymore. He had nothing to gain. I don't think, except $50 million. He doesn't need to make money. He's not even the big breadwinner in the family, for crying out loud. All right. If you guys got nothing else to chat about, we'll move on to the picks. Billy, thank you. Bill, you probably didn't see the beginning of the show. I had my Patriot elf here. He was on the microphone as we started the show. You guys, I don't know if any of you guys started the start of the show, so he joined me in the beginning. I've got co-hosts. I also have a Yankee co-host when we get to the baseball season. Oh, that ought to be fun. Drew? Drew, you got to do me a favor as we get to the picks. I think you should invite Billy and Rick into your Pick'em League next year. So we have, there'll be a lot of fun, and I think they'll enjoy your recaps. Drew does a much better job of recapping his the results of his Pick'em League than I do. I give you the scores, but we do them we do spend a lot of time here doing it, so I don't really have time during the week to do a large recap. But Drew does a great job. I love it. I look forward to his email every week recapping the week. So, push needles into Bill. Stop. There'll be no voodoo on my show. Last week, guys, another resounding, exciting, well done week of picking against the spread. TGI Sports gets its first win in I don't know how long, going 8-7-1. Been over 500 a few weeks in a row now, though. Starting to move the needle a little bit. I started out the year so well until I invited you guys to join me. Drew finished second on my heels, 7-8-1. And Rick and Bill, I've been there. I feel your pain at 5-10-1. Oh, I won't forget Roy White, guys. I'll talk about it at the end of the show. I got a promo out. I'll mention it right before we go to the picks, in case anybody drops out. My guest Friday will be Roy White, longtime Yankee, 15 years. Then he played 3 years in Japan. You know, he was a model of consistency through some dark times with the Yankees, right up until the resurgence in the 70s. He's a classy guy. I spent about a half an hour on the phone with him the other day. He called me, and I think he wanted to keep on chatting. I was working. So I feel bad. I kind of rushed Roy off the phone that day. But just a classy individual. He's got a foundation to help raise money for underprivileged kids to get higher education. So I have become friends with somebody on Facebook who hooked me up with Roy. And I'm so happy to have Roy on Friday, 8 a.m. Eastern time. So I've got a video promo up already for that show. So I hope you guys will join me or watch the show at your convenience. So we'll talk more. At the end of the show, I'll talk a little bit more about some other guests I got coming up as well. Make picks, but we need to start keeping an eye on the baseball hot stove. Yeah, we do. We do. Not a lot happening yet, Drew. Things are pretty quiet, you know. Just to touch on baseball for a second before we do the picks. The winter meetings are virtual this week, so it's going to be interesting to see if there's a lot of player movement, whether it's the free agents. This is a week the big free agents, and Scott Boras specifically loves to gets a splash for his guys. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens. Better try to butter up Fergie in the comments to get him on your show. I've asked Fergie a couple times now. It's hard to get these guys, and I found out, you know, partly. I had a response from somebody, and I can't remember who it was now. Actually, it was Jack Curry, who does the Yankee pregame shows. And there's a lot of guys that I reach out to that I never hear back from. I reach out to him on Twitter, or I reach out to him on Facebook, and I don't hear back. And I found out from Jack because he got back to me like months later, and I do appreciate that. And said, no, not at this time. And I just said, can I ask why? And it's just the fact that it's time. If he went on every podcast or webcast that wanted him to be on, he'd have no time to do. Well, he's got his job, which keeps him very busy, obviously, even during the off season, working for the Yes Network. And I think it's the same with a lot of these guys. There's a lot of interest in these guys that I've been getting on the show, like Ron Bloomberg. He's got his own podcast now. Mark Littell, he's got his own podcast now. Greg Pryor. There's a lot of interest in these guys from a nostalgic point of view, and they're just busy. I'd asked Joe Cribbs from the Buffalo Bills, and he was very honest with me. He had some things going on. It turned out in his family. I think his brother passed away, and he didn't elaborate on it, but it just wasn't good timing for him. But they do get back, and they give me good reasons. So we're going to keep trying to get more and more guests, and I really liked Fergie Jenkins, and I like to get Fergie on my show, and I'll butter him up if I have to get him on. Again, I got Roy because I'm not even sure how his friend Murray, who's on his board, he and I got chatting on Facebook one night, and he said, I'll have Roy call you. And Roy, who I'm sure is very busy, didn't call me right away, but he called me last week, said he'd love to be on, and I'm excited that Roy will be on my show. So anyway, guys, I work very hard trying to get these guys on. It's not, if this was my full-time job and I had people to do this for me, man, we'd have a great show, interviews and every otherwise. So anyway, let's get to the picks. So again, we go from kind of the best games to the worst, because this is just easier for me. This is the site that I use. It doesn't go in chronological order. For you guys, I know it can be hard, but keep track, guys. Billy, put down your for Angelica or whatever you put in your clicks. 10:35 already. Oh my gosh. Anyway, all right, guys. We'll start with the Browns at the Titans. Big game. Both teams are the same 8-3 record. Again, I'm not a big Baker Mayfield fan. Oh, by the way, this game is at the Titans. The line is 5.5. I'm on the Titans here, minus the 5.5. I just am not a big Baker Mayfield fan. I don't think the Browns' defense is going to be able to contain Derrick Henry, who's just a monster. So I think this is going to be an easy Titans win. That's just my pick. Drew's on the Browns. Oh, sorry. Yeah, Drew's on the Browns. Ooh, interesting. Billy is with me on the Titans, and Rick's on the Titans as well. All right. It's amazing we had such disparity in the scoring last week. Well, that isn't great. It's only 3 games, so we were on a lot of the same teams last week. Second game up, Rams at the Cardinals. The Rams are 3-point favorites on the road against the Cardinals. I'm not seeing it. I love the Rams. I love Sean McVay. I think he's, again, one of the more underrated coaches in the league. Cardinals are kind of up and down, but they're playing at home. They're coming off a tough loss. I just got to believe that, maybe the league defenses are figuring out Kyler Murray. I'm not sure. But I'm taking the Cardinals at home in this game with 3 points. What do we got? Billy's got the Rams. I believe I saw Drew had the Rams, and so does Rick. All right, I'm the only guy on the home dog here. Moving on. Patriots. I got to talk about the Patriots, Bill. Patriots at the Chargers. I was happy to see it's actually a CBS 6 game at 4:25. I don't have to worry about finding a place to watch the game and get out amongst the COVID infected. Games at the Chargers, as I said, it's a pick-em. Pick 'em. Last week, the Patriots played a really ugly game to get to 5-6. As I said, it was not pretty. Cam played terrible. The running game never got going. I'm not a Charger fan. I think the coaching, there's not a bigger coaching mismatch outside of Bill Belichick against Adam Gase than Bill Belichick against Anthony Lynn, who's going to lose his job after this year for sure. The thing I worry about is, Herbert's probably the rookie of the year. Played some great quarterback, but the Chargers just find a way to lose games, and I probably would be taking the Patriots anyway. But there's my take on the Chargers. Can't win. Everybody else is on the chart. Oh, Rick's got the Patriots. Drew's got the Chargers. He likes Herbert and Eckler to have big games. Well, Patriots defense is what they need to win games. They need to play well. Cam's not going to carry him to victory. The offense is not going to win games. It's going to be defense and special teams, just like it was last week against the Cardinals. Now a little different. A little different. No points to pick them. Elsewhere, you'll find the Chargers favored. By the way, I'll probably bet the Patriots today, and I know I'm going to be getting points. Not many. One. This game's a little bit different. I'll stick here for a second because Herbert and Murray are much different types of quarterbacks, but still Belichick has good luck with young rookie quarterbacks, more so with mobile guys like Murray and Lamar Jackson. So it's a little bit different there. And Eckler's a great player, very underrated. I'm going to assume Drew's got him on his fantasy team. Billy with the Chargers. All right, so we got everybody here, right? You guys are all on the Chargers. No, Pat. Sorry, Rick's on the Pats. So it's 2-2. Next game up, Broncos, who actually have a quarterback this week, actually have 3 of them available for the game. Playing the Chiefs. Game's at 8:20 tonight. I don't know how NBC got saddled with such a horrible Sunday night game. The Chiefs are a 14-point favorite at home. 14. I don't see a reason to talk a lot about this game. Kansas City won by 27, I think, in the first matchup at Denver. Maybe the Broncos will have something to play for because they were embarrassed so bad last week and not having a quarterback and whatnot. Drew doesn't have Eckler on his teams. I thought maybe it did. He's a great player. Got to stay healthy, that's all. I'm on the Chiefs. I'll lay the points. -14. Billy's on the Chiefs. Drew will take the Broncos because of the spread. Well, that's what against the spread is. So that's probably not a bad pick. I had given some consideration to taking the points here myself, but again, the Chiefs. I'm worried. My only worry with the Chiefs, they're the best team. They're better than Pittsburgh, I think. Rick's got Eckler on his fantasy team. So just off the IR, he's got to stay healthy. He's a great player. Back to the Broncos. Kansas City, I think, is a better team than Pittsburgh, and boredom could be their biggest opponent for the rest of this year. I mean, they're going to be big favorites in the games that they have left to play, as they are almost all the time anyway. And Andy Reid's going to need to keep them motivated so that they can potentially play that potential AFC championship game in Kansas City and not Pittsburgh. And whether there's fans or no fans, it still matters. Yeah, I agree, Drew. They've had some games that are close, and that's that boredom factor. I think they need to get out. They fall behind, and they keep teams in games that really shouldn't stay in there. But that was another backdoor last week, man. I lost. I think we all. I'm not sure if we all had the Chiefs last week or not, but I had the Chiefs, and I bet the Chiefs. I had the. Bet the Chiefs, and we got a backdoor cover, I think, to lose by half a point. A lot of those this year. Anyway, let me move on. Talking too much. Giants at the Seahawks. The Seahawks are 10-point favorites at home. I know the Giants are playing well. A lot of people like the Giants with the points this week. There's still some debate about whether Daniel Jones will be able to go today. I haven't seen the news because I've been on with you guys. Whether he's active or not, he's been getting better. I don't know if a switch to Colt McCoy is that big a deal for the Giants at this point. Daniel Jones has played better recently, but I got to go with the Seahawks here at home. Minus the 10 points. Rick's on the Seahawks. Drew Jones is out. Okay, more reason to take Seattle, but again, it's that big a deal. Drew is on taking the points with the Giants, And I got to believe Billy's on Seattle, although I don't see his pick. Oh, there it is, Seahawks. It's one of his homes, Seattle. The man lives all over the country. And in London sometimes, even. I got to talk to you sometime about some of those posts you put up a while back, Bill, where you were up like for 3 months. You were all over the world. Not now, though. I'll have you come on the show. We'll talk about it. Eagles at the Packers. 4:25 today. Eagles are just a mess. I got to believe the coach is in trouble there unless he gets a COVID pass. And if they throw up the white flag and play Jalen Hurts here, we'll see. I don't know that Jalen Hurts, is Kyler Murray. I just think I think Wentz is a good quarterback. He may need to change the scenery. But no, I know the kids part. There was just something else about, I can't remember what it was. It was a while back on Facebook. I can't remember. It distracted me. If the Eagles give up on Carson Wentz for Jalen Hurts, shame on them. Carson Wentz is going to go on somewhere, and if he can stay healthy, he's going to be a really good NFL quarterback. I still think. Just me. I can think of a team about 3 hours from here that would really like to have them. I would like to try to rehabilitate him. So anyway, the Packers are 8.5-point favorites. I'll be on the Packers, 8.5. Drew's on the Packers. Rick's on the Packers. Billy's on the Packers. First unanimous pick of the day. Next game. Oh, the team I love to hate. The Colts at Houston. Colts are -3. This is a tough game for me, guys. Again, given my dislike of Philip Rivers. And I don't know. I've never been a big fan of the Colts. I really felt like to be honest with you, they should have played Jacoby Brissett this year and not brought Philip Rivers in. Just my opinion. Again, another guy that will be a free agent after the year, and he's an ex-Patriot, so don't sleep on Jacoby Brissett returning to New England. The Texans have played much better recently. They're talking about keeping Romeo Crennel next year, but still only as an interim. But I think that's a bad plan. I mean, if an Eric Bieniemy is available, and you pass him up, especially when you've got an outstanding talent, a quarterback like Deshaun Watson, and they've got some good wide receivers. I mean, Will Fuller, who's a free agent. And again, another guy I would hope. The Patriots are going to have a ton of money, by the way. I keep going back to the Patriots. A ton of money available in free agency next year. I like the Texans offense here, and I don't like Drew Brees. I'm going with the Texans at home with the 3 points. And Rick's got the Colts. Drew's going to have the Colts, right? Yeah. And Billy's got the Texans. All right. You're with me, Bill. Jaguars at the Vikings. Vikings -10. They've improved a lot after a horrendous start. I mean, what'd they start out? 0-4, Rick? Oh, maybe they're 0-5. I'm not positive. They're 5-6 now. They've played some closer games than they should have, probably. But the Jaguars are starting Mike Lennon again. I think there's just too much talent with Cousins and Cook and Thielen and Justin Jefferson, a wide receiver. I got to go with the Vikings and lay the points. Could be a bet today. -10. Vikings, I know for Rick. Vikings for Drew. He says 20 points. I'd be happy with that. And Billy's on the Vikings. We're all okay. Our second. I think the Vikings are in trouble. We're all on them. The Raiders at the Jets. I may have to pick the Jets today. God, -8 the Raiders are. They didn't, and the Raiders, oh my God. So again, this is a test of a couple of my theories. Teams traveling from the West Coast to the East Coast. Not easy, guys, playing those 1 o'clock games. From that Pacific time zone to the Eastern time zone. It's a tough adjustment for these teams. And this is a spot where the Jets could actually win this game. I'm not saying the Jets are going to win this game, but I am going to take the Jets with the points. I just think they'll be in the game. I know Billy's going to take them, or I'll have to embarrass him. Drew just can't pick the Jets, which I understand. I don't like taking them either, but I want to try to win. Jets. And, of course, Rick. Rick pick yet? I don't think so. Cold and travel. Jets. Agreed. All the way around with Rick there. Saints and the Falcons. This is an interesting game, guys. The Falcons are playing better ball under Raheem Morris, as I mentioned earlier. They got talent on offense. Hill's played well. The Saints have played well the last 2 years with Drew Brees hurt. They're 9-2. Their defense is playing really well. The Falcons are a team I cannot pick either way. So I'm going to lose this game no matter what I do. So you guys should probably go whichever way I don't go here. And I'm taking the points in the Falcons. Got a feeling Raheem Morris might be in line to be the permanent coach there if the Falcons finish strong here. So if you guys are smart, you'll all take the Saints because I have not picked a Falcon game right, it feels like, in 3 years. Drew's in the Falcons. Sorry, Drew. And Rick. Heckle and Heckle. Heckle and Jekyll. Oh, God. I don't know if you missed that one earlier, guys. Apparently Rick didn't, but I was trying to say Jekyll and Hyde, and it came out Jekyll and Heckle. Heckle and Jekyll. So that's my new thing now. Heckle and Jekyll. No more Jekyll and Hyde. Anyway, Rick's got the Saints. Moving on. Cincinnati at Miami. I got to get some football music for this. What do you guys think? I should download on my soundboard some of the NFL music. We should play it while we're making the picks. What do you think? Give me your comments. Bengals at the Dolphins. Probably breaking all kinds of rules, and I'll get shut down by Facebook if I play the music without copyright. Whatever. I'll try to find it. We'll see if we can play it. Guys, let me know if you think that would be interesting. Where was I? Bengals at the Dolphins. The Dolphins are 11.5. Again, you guys are able to see the news a little better than I am, obviously. The rumors I've heard is Tua was starting today. Obviously, the Bengals are kind of really falling into disarray after playing really well early in the year with Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow gets hurt, and I think their coach is probably in trouble. There's some trouble. There's some problems in the locker room there, and I think Zach Taylor might pay the price. But it's 11.5 seems like a lot of points, but I am going to take the Dolphins minus 11.5. Rick's on Miami. Everybody's on Miami. All right, well, we're all in trouble there. Here's a game everybody can't wait to watch today after in Detroit or Chicago. The Lions are at the Bears, and the Bears are -3. Rick made a comment earlier about Detroit's interim coach, Darrell Bevell, who carries his offensive plays on an index card. Unlike Andy Reid, who carries it on what looks to me like a Denny's menu, but I'm not sure if that's accurate or not. And probably not fair to Andy Reid. So anyway, the Bears are 3-point favorites here. teams have had a history, especially this year, of picking it up a little bit once they have fired their head coach. And I'm going to go with that theory and take the Lions here, plus 3.5, plus 3. Sorry, plus 3. Drew will begrudgingly take the Bears. I know he coached on the Vikings. I know. They fired him during the season, I think, didn't they? Not positive. Billy's got the Bears. I feel like he got fired during the season. I'm not positive. I can't seem to remember that. Did Rick make a pick? Bears. Certainly no fan of Darrell Bevel. Rick Sherlock, president of the Darrell Bevel fan club. Interesting game here. 8:15 on ABC and ESPN tomorrow night. The Bills and the 49ers. Bills at the 49ers. The Bills are 2.5-point favorites on the road. The 49ers got Mostert back last week. Sherman back last week. Played better. Beat the Rams. A very good Rams team. The Bills, I don't know that they should be favored. I don't know that they should necessarily be favored in this game, given their defense, lack of defense. They are 8-3, but another big deal is that, remember, San Francisco can't play at home. This game's not really a home game for the 49ers. This is really a neutral field. They're playing at Arizona's the Cardinals State Farm Stadium because they can't play in California. If you guys, I'm sure you guys are all aware of this. You know, the state has mandated none of these schools can practice or play in God, what's the county where good grief. There it goes again. Give me the Prevagen. You'll know this one. The county where San Francisco plays, where the Rose Bowl is. Anyway, they're prohibited from practicing or playing, so they've had to temporarily anyway move. So I'm still going to take the 49ers here. Just not sold on the Bills. Yeah, that's what I said. Not a real home game here for the 49ers. They're playing in Arizona, so it's really a neutral site. But I will take the 49ers. Billy will take the 49ers. Rick's on the 49ers. And Drew's on the Bills. Bills have not treated me all that well either. A couple half-point losses in their games this year. Just so you know, in the betting pool that I have are often different lines than I use here. I don't have them till, because of COVID, we used to have them early in the weekend. I don't have them now till about 11:30. So, anyway, moving on to the other Monday night game, which we played at 5 o'clock. And it's funny, I don't see any. It's got to be on TV. They're not listing any TV here, but it's got to be on TV. The Niners. Oof. Moving on. 49ers are not playing in this game. It's the team formerly known as the Redskins at the Steelers. The Steelers are 9.5-point favorites, coming off as short a week as a team can probably have. Again, they were supposed to have a long, long week. They lost their bye week, and then they lost this long week because they didn't play Thanksgiving night. I got to take the footballers here, the team formerly known as the Redskins, plus 9.5. They may not win the game, but this is going to be a place that's ripe for an upset for the Steelers. If they get past this, they might go undefeated. And I think, by the way, talking about the Steelers and being undefeated, I can tell you from experience that I think it's better to lose a game during the regular season. I think the pressure mounts and mounts and mounts, especially when you get to the playoffs. And I know the Patriots, I feel the Patriots in 2007 would have been better served to lose a game before they hit the playoffs that year. Just an aside, interesting aside. Drew's got the Steelers covering, I guess. And Billy's on the potato skins. That's a good one, Bill. And then we got the Tuesday night game. So the NFL has become pretty much the game of the night. They play them every day of the week. Cowboys at the Ravens. This game, by the way, is on Fox, the NFL Network, and Prime Video. And I think when you watch it on Prime, you can get either the Fox or the NFL feed. It's your choice. You might even have more choices. If you've never watched a game on Amazon Prime, it's very interesting. And you might want to get used to it because Amazon's going to be heavily involved in the next TV contract. I guarantee you. Anyway, Cowboys at the Ravens. The Ravens are 7. Is Jackson going to be back? The NFL seems to want him back before they play any games. They did everything they could to try to get that team as healthy as they could before they had to play that game with the Steelers. It was a joke, especially when they made the Broncos play. Be consistent, NFL. So I don't know. This game it's a big game for the Ravens if they want to stay in the playoff hunt. They're on the outside looking in now. I hate to take the Cowboys because, God, they've been awful, and I think they've quit. I really think they've quit. I'm going to take the Ravens. -7. What else we got? You say yes on Jackson. I still got the Ravens. Billy's got the Ravens. Drew's got the Ravens. And Rick's got the Ravens. Another unanimous pick for us. And that's it, guys. Unless there's a game here on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday next week. Nope, guess not. So anyway, we covered a lot of stuff today. 11 o'clock, 2 hours. You guys are troopers for sticking in with me on a Sunday morning. Of course, it's like the wind chill's about 10 out there, so there's not much else to do. Guys, I thank you so much for being here. I have a blast going back and forth with you guys. Any of you want to come in on live someday when we do the picks or something, or maybe we'll debate. We'll pick a topic and debate as we start getting less and less games. Once we get to the playoffs, I'll pick a topic and we may talk more about it. I keep talking about expanding the schedule and maybe having another day where I can talk about more stuff. No free beer. We're going out for the beers when we can. So I thank you guys being with me. I thank all of you that have been in and out of the room today. I know 2 hours is a lot to dedicate on a Sunday morning. I started saying I'm looking for another time where it'll be convenient for me to do this outside of my interview show on Friday. Don't miss Roy White coming up this Friday at 8 a.m. Eastern time. The week after, I'll have Todd Stottlemyre, former Major League pitcher, and his dad was one of my favorites growing up as well. That'll take us to Christmas where we won't have a show. But on New Year's Day, I'll have a show, and it'll be Lloyd Walton, former Marquette All-American. Works for the NBA Players Association now. Played in the NBA. It was a great interview. Had a great time. Dr. Lloyd Walton, by the way. Good story behind that. And you guys have a safe Sunday. Enjoy the football. And I'll see you Friday with Roy White. Keith Engel, TGI Sports Talk. See you soon. Bye-bye.